Hello everybody, welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join us for a dearly departed preview show for round 18 and round 1 of the Premier League. Strange, I know, I'll explain in the fixtures. Even stranger considering we had round 19 last week, but the fixture computer is delving back for some missed matches and has popped them in here. So we'll go over. We got 4 games to talk about. No, we haven't. We've got 3. We've got 3 games and a postponement to talk about. Let's just say. Before we get into that, what is the Dearly Departed? I am a Championship YouTuber and we build up wonderful relationships with teams in the Championship only to throw them away when they go to the Premier League. So we continue this show and cover those teams that have got up and stayed there in the Premier League. Those teams being Sheffield United, Aston Villa, Leeds, Fulham and West Brom. If you are new to the channel and fan to any of those teams, please hit that subscribe button. Before we go into the action, let's say thank you to Coyle, who is our fan sponsor of the show. Dearly Departed, also known as Ben, couldn't bear to lose us. If you want to get involved supporting the channel, please head over to patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. If you just want to support and donate, I'll be eternally grateful. But if you do go for one of the other tiers, there is Patreon exclusive content, Q&As, my short form predictions, and lots of other good stuff and a good community over at Patreon. There are our fixtures, and it's a weird one. Like I said, we're up to round 20, essentially. A few teams have played 19, but we have to go all the way back to round 1, where those of you with long memories will know that Aston Villa were due to play Manchester City, but because of COVID and an extended European campaign for Manchester City, that did not happen, and the game was just thrown into the ether, and here is the gap that they have found to play. Let me just have a swig of my coffee before it goes cold. So, we've got that one from game week number 1, and then we've got some round 18 games as well. We've got and these were due to be played around the 12th, 13th, 14th, you can see there, of December. We've got West Ham versus West Brom. And we've got Fulham versus Manchester United. How on earth they've happened upon exactly these ones, I don't know. But let's get into them. And Manchester City versus Aston Villa is our first one. And wrong time, wrong place, really. Although you never know what would have happened on the first day of the season. But obviously, Manchester City are in fine form now. And Villa are coming off the back of a long run. Well, for the first team, obviously the kids, the under-19s, basically played in the FA Cup against Liverpool. But you do wonder, you stroke your chin and wonder if this had been played on the first day of the season, would it have been a better task? I mean, the Ross Barkley deal hadn't been done there. I don't think the Martinez deal had been done even by week 1, or the Grealish new contract. So who knows? Maybe this is a better time. But look at that. Sorry, as the wind howls around my house. It's creaking. Goodness me. Manchester City, 5 wins on the trot and up into second position. Aston Villa in 11th. But look, they've played 4 games less than some other teams there. Recent postponements there against Everton and Spurs. And of course, this game, Man City, has been in lieu for the whole season, basically. There's been a game behind everybody. And there's a game against Newcastle as well that's cancelled. That's being played at the weekend. So it's catch-up time for Aston Villa. And maybe more of the catching up will be done against Newcastle than it will be against Manchester City, who are in fine form. Only 2 defeats all season. And were they to win the game in hand, which they don't catch up this game week because Manchester United obviously are playing Fulham, they would go top of the table. So a big task. Some sense of things clicking there. De Bruyne into his normal form. John Stones picking up and sort of featured player in their last game, scoring a couple of goals. So that game was very recently. So it's a quick turnaround for Manchester City. This game is indeed, well, it must be a Wednesday or a Thursday night game. I don't exactly have the fixture date. Villa, who knows what we'll get after the break, although I dare say they may be in better nick for getting some points against Newcastle than against Manchester City. However, our dearly departed West Brom did go there and get a point, didn't they? So stranger things have happened. You can see that was the last game Manchester City didn't win. Since then, they have beaten Southampton, Newcastle, Chelsea, Brighton and Palace. Are all those teams below Villa in the table? Not Southampton, but again, maybe the outlier of Chelsea as well. I was going to try and peddle the argument that they were easier games, but maybe not so. But it's the mitigating factor. Would Villa be higher with the games played? Villa, like I say, a bit of an unknown quantity. But it's going to be hard for me to predict anything other than a 6th straight win for Manchester City. Maybe Villa could go there and get a draw. We just don't know what we're going to see. Who's fit? Who's been struggling? Who's trained well? When's Barkley back? Etc, etc. City we do know, and I expect them to get the win. So sadly, with my dearly departed hat on it goes again. It's going to be a Manchester City win that I am predicting in this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Next up would be Leeds versus Southampton. But as you can see there, Leeds v Southampton, due to be played on Wednesday the 20th, has been postponed to allow for Saints' FA Cup game against Shrewsbury. So I think that was cancelled because of a Shrewsbury COVID issue, and they've had to put that in, else it starts to get ridiculous where you're starting to play 5th round ties when a 3rd round game hasn't even been played as yet. So they've gone ahead and put this in. I don't think this is a bad thing for Leeds. Couple of flat performances against Crawley and against Brighton, losing at the weekend. And no Phillips, no Llorente, no Koch. Maybe a break, and I think it's 10 days between the Brighton game and it's also Newcastle. We're coming for you, Newcastle, the dearly departed, with Villa and Leeds. Both will be looking at targeting Newcastle, who are not in the best moment for some points. So Leeds won't be too disappointed about that being postponed. And a bit of a rest. I think they're ahead when you look at the table of everybody else. Have they played 19 games? Sorry, I'll go back a slide and I can tell you exactly. They've played 18, so they're not quite on 19, but certainly ahead of teams like Villa have only played 15. So Leeds v Southampton postponed. Fulham versus Manchester United. Sorry, I have another swig of my coffee there. It's a difficult week, this, for the dearly departed. They go in against the top two. Villa visiting Manchester City. At least Fulham are playing at home against Manchester United. But it just feels like there's something in the air at Manchester United at the moment, doesn't it? Look at the recent form. Win-win. Draw away at Leicester, who are obviously third in the league. Win-win-win. Draw away at Liverpool, who are fourth in the league currently. So they are playing very well. They are top of the league. Still some sense in the naysayers who don't necessarily rate Solskjaer, and I'm sure there's parallels with Scott Parker. It just seems that young managers who are recent players aren't trusted by the wider footballing world, despite the fact that the ones who have been managers for ages aren't trusted either. One doesn't know enough and one knows too much. It's almost like the wider footballing think tank talks a load of nonsense sometimes, isn't it? But there you go. Solskjaer, compared to Parker, though, obviously did Mulder and did Cardiff, so a slightly apples and oranges comparison. But I'm sure you get my point, and you get my point that Manchester United are playing very, very well and configuring a lot of good players now into a cohesive team. Fernandes makes them tick, but there's still Pogba and Greenwood and Martial and Rashford. And if they can just become solid in the back two lines of the team and configure something really good up top, in this strange season, why not, hey? But Manchester City are coming over the hill like the proverbial monster. And like the proverbial monster, Fulham, that defeat against Chelsea, Yeah, and this was what I was worried about. Trending in the right direction, sorting out the team and what it is the solution's going to be. But if you draw, and then defeat, all of a sudden it's a negative run. And I think it was 5 draws before that. The form table doesn't go back that far on the screen there. So now you're looking at sort of 6 without a win and only 5 points from the last 6. And for all they were good performances, particularly against Liverpool to draw, Fulham and Southampton and Tottenham as well. Would you trade them for a win against Newcastle or Brighton? I'm sure you would. It's not even about the total number of points accrued in that period. It's who you get them against. You would swap 6 points if one of them's a victory over Brighton. Take out three of the draws and beat, or take out 2 of the draws and beat Brighton, and it makes a difference to the table, because obviously then Brighton have got a point less in that regard. And the psychological issue of beating one of your opponents going into the next game, the return fixture against them. You know what I'm saying without wanting to babble. We assume Fulham will do something fairly similar. Maybe Lookman can come in and get a start. Loftus-Cheek didn't play, obviously, against Chelsea, who are his owners, his parent club. It's tricky, isn't it? In my head, Fulham will play well, but they will not win. And there is a scenario Fulham will play well and they'll actually lose. So I think best case we can look at a draw. I mean, they've gone away at Spurs and got a draw, but I do worry that almost this is a bad matchup for Fulham, who are going to want to play their flowing possession football, and Manchester United will maybe just have too much to pick them off. And like I say, something in the air at Manchester United. There was something in the air. Who's that? ABBA. Deary me, some ABBA for you there. I hope that calms the nerves for Fulham fans and dearly departed fans before I predict a defeat. Fulham to lose at home to Manchester United. I'm sorry. On we go. West Ham versus West Brom. Take a second while I drink another sip of coffee to process that. A real proper Big Sam derby, that one, isn't it? Not only is it the derby of the teams with prefixes that are West, but Allardyce, former West Ham manager, now a West Brom manager, and I find him so entertaining. I'm sorry. I know people know my hankering for Neil Warnock, but he's been so funny in his interviews and his press conferences, banging on about clean sheets and getting tight. And of course, he got the win, didn't he, over at Wolves, Allardyce, with 2 penalties and a throw-in. You've got to love to see it, a 3-2 win. But it's viable. It's viable. It's more viable than the win they got earlier in the season against Sheffield United, where they conceded about 6 big chances and Sheffield United couldn't score any of them. Big Sam has a history of getting teams away from the bottom, and that's now 4 points in the last 4 for Allardyce. And I mean, if you were to roll that out over the remaining 20 games, 31, not probably enough. I think Allardyce and certainly Parker will be looking at 35 and hoping Brighton and Burnley continue at the same rate they are, where they're on sort of less than a point per game, and maybe 35 can do it. This is going to be an interesting one. Should we call it interesting, not a spectacular watch, let's just say. But tactically, if you could get into the ground, this would be a really good watch. Allardyce versus Moyes. No, there's probably not going to be many goals. No, it's probably going to be mainly defensive. But watching these two chess players go against each other for a nerd like me, I think I'd quite enjoy. They'll both probably sit off. They'll both be happy without the ball, but then they'll both understand that the other guy's going to do that. And how are they going to counteract and make sure that it's not a complete snooze fest where they don't have any openings? Will one try and spring a surprise on the other? I don't know. I think it's got the makings of a fascinating tactical watch. West Ham up in 9th, 3 clean sheets on the bounce and good wins there, up at Everton and against Burnley, doing doing West Brom a favour almost, that victory against Burnley. For Big Sam, the home form's been awful, hasn't it? Look, 3 defeats and, 12 goals conceded. Horrible. The away form's been good. Look at that, 4 points in the last 2, draw at Liverpool, and the victory at Wolves. So they'll almost be happy to go and play this away from home. Let's put my backside firmly on the fence and we'll call it a draw. It may even be 0-0 as well. But I dare say if Allardyce can go there and get a win, I think we'd start our tongues wagging in terms of can he actually keep them up, a 5-point gap at the moment. But I will sit on a draw in this one. As ever, get your predictions in the comments. We don't have a Sheffield United game to talk about, mercifully enough, because it's not been fun talking about Sheffield United this season. So that is it for the predictions. 3 games and a postponement. Get yours down there in the comments. Thank you, as ever, to J Coyle, our fan sponsor, dearly departed, also known as Ben Couldn't Bear to Lose. If you want to get involved, please do so over on Patreon. Genuinely, the difference between sink or swim at the moment, your help on Patreon. So if you've watched even one of my videos and you fancy the price of a beer or a cup of coffee per month, $3 to donate there, please do consider doing it. It really does make all the difference at the moment. With all of that being said, thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the weird midweek round 1 and round 18, even though round 19's also happened. And with all of that being said, I'm going to pull out my earphones and say over and out. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.